I'm Superintendent Coleman McDonough of the Allegheny County Police. With me is, to my right is Inspector Andy Sherman, the Inspector in the Investigations Division. To my left is Lieutenant Venerando Costa. Lieutenant Costa is the commander of our homicide unit. First, I'd like to start off with, on behalf of the men and women of the Allegheny County Police Department, we want to send our best wishes, our well wishes to the wounded Pittsburgh detective, and hope that he has a speedy and quick recovery and is back to work as soon as possible. I want to start with the role of the county police in matters of this nature for everybody's benefit. We are tasked with conducting a criminal investigation into police officer shootings. That investigation is designed to come up with the best evidence, best information that ultimately will be turned over to the district attorney's office for their decision as to, in this particular matter, the justification of the police shooting of Mr. Brewer. We would also look at any other criminal activity surrounding the event, such as the wounding of the Pittsburgh police officer. We recognize that in events of this nature, that this is a significant event for the community. A citizen was shot and killed by police officers, and a Pittsburgh Bureau police officer was shot and wounded by a citizen. So we understand the need for the public to be given information relevant to those events. But we have to balance that need with the integrity investigation. So I'm going to give you a synopsis of last evening's events. The synopsis is based on our investigation to date, and I want to emphasize that. It's not, at this time, it's not a complete or comprehensive account, and it could change later based on additional investigative information that we discover. So, at approximately, or at 6:55 p.m. yesterday, the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police detectives stopped a 2002 Lexus ES 300 in the 200 block of East Ohio Street. The involved police vehicle was an unmarked GMC Yukon with emergency lights activated at the time of the stop. Upon their initial contact with the driver, detectives smelled the owner of burnt marijuana in the car and asked the driver to exit. The driver complied with the officer's requests. The passenger also exited the car, and at 7 p.m., an exchange of gunfire ensued. The driver fled the scene on foot. During the exchange, he was located and detained a short distance away within minutes by Pittsburgh police officers. A 9mm handgun was recovered at the scene in the right hand of the deceased. Based on our preliminary investigation, it's apparent the deceased fired at least 2 rounds at Pittsburgh detectives. All 4 Pittsburgh detectives returned fire at the deceased. At this time, we're unable to determine the number of rounds that struck Mr. Brewer, as well as which of the officers' rounds struck Mr. Brewer. We hope to be able to determine that pending the results of the medical examiner's postmortem exam. Mr. Brewer was on state parole in relation to a 2014 guilty plea to aggravated assault, recklessly endangering, and firearms charges. As such, he was a prohibited person from possessing a firearm. I'll take some questions now.
Can you detail why the traffic stop was an issue?
At this time, I can't detail that. We have certain things occurred. There was a robbery in the area approximately 10 minutes before the traffic stop. I'm sorry, approximately 6 minutes before the traffic stop. My personal observations at the scene last night when I saw the vehicle, there were obvious equipment violations that would have constituted probable cause for a traffic stop. But as I stand here today, I can't definitively tell you the reason behind the stop.
Well, is there a suspicion these 2 men were involved in that armed robbery?
At this time, based on our investigation, the county police investigation, we don't have anything that ties them to that robbery. I don't know what was the knowledge or what was in the minds of the involved officers.
The driver was detained. Has he been charged with anything?
No. The driver was as I said, captured a short distance away. He was questioned last night. He was released, but there's no charges pending against the driver.
Was the passenger asked to leave the vehicle, or did he do it on his own?
We know that the passenger exited the vehicle. We know that a scuffle ensued and gunshots were fired. So
Do you have any information as to who fired first?
at this time, and I probably should explain, again, going back to where we started, this is a criminal investigation. The officers involved are the subject of a criminal investigation at this time. As such, they have the same rights as any other citizen who is subject to a criminal investigation. And they decided to invoke those rights last night.
Was the officer shot by Brewer?
That's pending our investigation.
Can you say why there were 4 officers on the traffic stop?
They were riding together. There were 3 Zone 1 detectives and I believe 1 intelligence unit detective.
Is that normal to have that many?
That you'd have to ask the city police for that.
So to be clear, Superintendent, you haven't determined or you can't say who fired first?
We have not been able to determine that at this point.
Any video, either surveillance in the area or, I know the issue of body cams or cams in the vehicle has come up. Do you have any video to that?
There's no in-car camera vehicle in this. As a detective vehicle, there were no body cameras on the involved officers. We're currently canvassing for video. We're canvassing for additional body camera video from some of the responding uniformed officers that may provide some insight.
Will your investigation make a recommendation about the use of cameras, or are you looking into that?
That's a policy matter for the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police. We're not going to make a recommendation. We're simply going to find the facts to the best of our abilities, and we're going to hand that package to the district attorney's office, where they'll make the determinations on justification and whether any criminal charges are to be filed.
Were these plainclothes officers then? Which is what?
They were plainclothes officers that were wearing equipment with police markings on their vests and badges, etc.
Can you describe those moments when they had to get out of the car and the shooting from what you've learned?
No, I can't.
This is East Ohio Street. Reasonable to believe that there would be cameras, street security cameras to consult?
If you're aware of any, please help us out. So, I'll take one more. Anybody else have anything? Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
When do you
Appreciate it.
think you might conclude your investigation?
I don't want to put an arbitrary timeline on that. You know, we're open to anything, and that's why I gave you the preamble, as the things can change if we get some video, if we get additional witness statements. I think that the point to remember here is we had a subject who fired at police officers, and we had a driver who complied with police officers' orders. One of them went home last night and slept in his own bed. So, thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent.